All right, next up is we have Jeff Hyman here. He's an environmental health and safety professional with more than 35 years of experience supporting biotech and pharmaceutical firms with facilities operations and construction. Jeff manages a diverse team of EHS, occupational health, laboratory operations, and logistics colleagues supporting locations in Massachusetts, Washington, D.C., and Miami, Florida. Jeff has a strong passion for environmental compliance and has built a culture of leadership and sustainable operations, achieving all levels of incredible certifications, gold LEED, platinum LEED from the International Well Building Institute, maintaining zero poison pest control and meeting other stringent standards. He recently received the Wildlife Habitat Council certification for a pollinator-friendly campus in Massachusetts. So Jeff, you're up.
Thank you, Christine. You can hear me okay?
Yep.
And see my screen? Okay. Wow, that was really eye-opening. I have to say, listening to Andrew and John, the passion certainly comes through. I guess I'm going to shift gears a little bit, but I certainly am going to echo a lot of the points that we heard tonight from the other speakers. In my brief presentation, I'll provide perspectives on open space, risks to wells, briefly on net zero aspects, and adaptive reuse of buildings, really in relation to site selection of a new school. So location. We've all heard this statement. It was actually coined by Harold Samuel, who is a trained land surveyor. And I think for me, the message translates to a number of things, including choosing building sites and complex projects wisely. This requires cross-functional planning with a wide stakeholder base to ensure positive outcomes. I also want to share a couple of my heroes. When I think about protection of the environment and water and open space, these are my heroes. John Muir, who said, when one tugs at a single thing in nature, he finds it attached to the rest of the world. And the interesting thing, that statement was made in the late 1800s. So obviously, John Muir already started to become concerned about the way things were happening. And Ralph Waldo Emerson stated, "We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children." And if you think about that, that makes a lot of sense. Let's learn from the words of these great stewards of the land and make good choices. So why Dale at Dale? And obviously I'm on the coalition. I'm a resident of Medfield of nearly 30 years. As an environmental health and safety professional, it's environment first. And so in my opinion, there are choices, but for me, my talk is really based on why I believe the Dale Street School location is the location for a new school. High level, keep open space. It keeps open space open at Wheelock, does not jeopardize town wells, allows for adaptive reuse of buildings. And I'm going to go into a little bit of detail, but at its core, the approach keeps open space open for generations to come. And that's really what's important. Water resources are crucial and imperative. I think we've heard that this evening. It's imperative to our town, and we really need to think about preservation. And building in sensitive areas is a significant risk. So Wheelock open space is a big deal. And I did hear somebody had made a statement, I don't know if it was in the paper I'm writing or, that what's the big deal? Why can't we just put a school here, build here? What's the big deal? Well, I think it's a big deal. And I'll tell you why. I think when I think about open space, and the protection of our streams and watersheds. It's simple. It supports biodiversity, improves air quality, and cools the planet, protects vital water sources, provides a human connection with nature, and we don't get enough of that. Although with COVID, ta-da, people have discovered the outdoors, which is pretty amazing. Let's hope people keep thinking that way. Provides mindful recreation and reduces stress by providing a respite from our computer screens, our cell phones, and a number of other light emitting sources. Supports pollinators and food security, provides wildlife habitat. And I think what I heard tonight, Medfield open space, is limited and finite. The water sources within them are limited and finite. And once it's gone for good. You put a building on it, that's it. So we must think both academic needs and nature and educate our children that open space matters and is vital to our existence. Providing a new school at Dale location while preserving open space, in my opinion, accomplishes both. So if you take a look at this map, and I've basically superimposed the proposed school project here at Wheelock. When you look at this map, we notice a multitude of sensitive protection areas. We've talked about it tonight, but this really provides a visual. You see primary aquifer, protection district, well protection district zone 1. You can start to see some boundaries, archaeological protection. And so in the right corner here, you see wellhead. That is one of the wells, and there's another one that's just not shown on the slide. So there are actually two that were mentioned tonight. And the main concern that we all heard, and I will resonate with, is contaminants and sediment from stormwater runoff that drains from impervious surfaces like roofs, parking lots, and other impervious surfaces. So just to reiterate, and it's been said before, that citizens voted to protect the area, to protect the water. So let's not build here. So if you take a look at these photographs, and Andrew talked about surface water on parking lots. He mentioned gasoline. You can see there's a sheen here headed for the storm drain. This comes from vehicles. And if you look to the left, you see this parking lot. Note, you can see that this parking lot, so you have cars parked, you have stormwater collection infrastructure, so you can see some culvert, a small pond area, some flow. And so stormwater runoff has risks, right? And we heard about that, especially from winter de-icing chemicals, fluid leaks from vehicles. And I work on construction projects within my organization. I've been responsible for regulatory compliance with stormwater pollution prevention. And I can tell you that engineered retention and detention features, they help mitigate, the flow of contaminants. However, it cannot be guaranteed 100%. Nobody can guarantee 100% that that's not going to get breached and head into places where it shouldn't be. And I also want to note that if you look in the pond and a little bit of that water body, nothing is growing in there. It's not vibrant. It doesn't support any kind of aquatic life or plant life. All right, I'm going to shift gears and I'm going to talk about adaptive reuse of buildings. Again, this is a brief presentation. This is slide 8 of 11, high level. But in this example, the photo is a brick structure, a former building, the existing part of the building, and then a newer section where somebody has designed in and combined a space. So adaptive reuse at the Dale site, where you could repurpose certain aspects of the building, add on to it, this blends existing structures with new space. It creates a better experience and with less environmental impact, because you have a structure that's already existing and you're going to build onto it. You're not starting from scratch. If you combine this with a net zero approach to energy, right, this tends to be a win-win situation. So specifically, for example, so here's a topographical view of the Dale Street school site. So for example, at the Dale site, designing and building a complex that serves the daily needs of education. So this is an example of adaptive reuse and maybe considering other aspects of the campus nearby. This could serve the daily needs of education as a school, while further serving the needs of recreational programs in the afternoon, weekends, and summertime that would satisfy both needs with one complex that is sustainably designed and fiscally prudent. So you're sort of killing two birds with one stone. You have a school and you have recreation opportunities combining in this, what we call adaptive reuse. So I'm going to shift into net zero because a question, questions have come up, and certainly this is certainly out in the domain and it's certainly debatable, but the question is, can a new building achieve net zero energy status better than an existing building? That's kind of it's an interesting question. What the research and the papers that I read and the professionals that I speak to, the experience is really no, not necessarily, not really. Let's consider the subject in terms of embodied carbon, right? Or the total carbon impact of a building, right? So the existing Dale site already is built. It's already expended its carbon impact over many decades, right? A new building, even with net zero aspects, has a greater total impacts because you're starting from scratch. Especially when we consider all that goes into the manufacture, the mining of the materials, and the manufacture and the transport, and the use of the building materials, such as concrete and steel, as two examples, right? A new building has a significant timeline for that return on investment, and by some estimates, between 30 and 50 years, and I've actually even read recently up to an 80-year return. A new building, this is just sort of a side note, but really important when considering, going green and being green and really thinking about it. It's not necessarily, oh, great, let's build something new, let's make it net zero. Let's also consider that a new building adds additional structure, right? A new building, a large complex to the town, okay? That building must be heated, cooled, cleaned, and maintained, all with additional impact and cost. So adapting, adding, and reusing an existing complex most often costs less.